Okay, let's learn about conditional statements in Python. Okay, so the conditional statements, as we have seen, we can use the conditional operators for checking, if two objects are same. So similarly, we have many expressions we can write where the outcome is either true or false. That is a Boolean expression, right? So Boolean outcome. So in that conditions, based on some conditions, we want to take some decisions in Python, right? So like in any other programming languages, so we have if statement which we can use for a conditional check on a particular expression, right? So I take an example here. If I have a equal to 10, b equal to 20, if b is greater than a, I print that b is greater than a. Okay, and I go and print end of program. Okay, something like this. So I print start of program just for our understanding. Okay, if I run this, I can see that the start of program gets printed here, and the b is greater than a, and that is true, right? So the moment it executes this statement, let me run this execute separate, run this particular expression separately. I see that the outcome of this conditional check is true, and since it is true, it goes and execute the statements which is there inside a block, inside a if loop, if block. Okay, so these statements get executed only when the condition which we have put here after if keyword is true. Okay, so the colon indicates that we are done with the expression, and after colon there's supposed to be a block of statements. Those block of statements gets executed only if this condition is true. Okay, and the block of statements are separated or identified with the help of some indentation, right? So in Python, indentation is very important. We can't give any spaces where when we just want to put some space, this is not allowed. Okay, for example, if I run this with just a space here, so interpreter will say that there is something wrong with the indentation, right? So indentation is important in Python. We have to be careful when I am giving any space anywhere, so that matters, right? So especially the indentation is required to separate any statement from a block here, right? So end of if block. Okay, so remember this second statement is also part of the if block. Okay, the moment I change the condition here, let's assume that I am checking the other way, right? If e is greater than b. Okay, and obviously this outcome is false. Let me type here a. If it is greater than b, the outcome is false. Hence these two statements, which is a part of a block of if statement, is not getting executed, right? So those statements gets executed only if the condition is true, as simple as that, right? And those are identified by using some indentation. So in general, as a standard, we should give 4 spaces, but even a single space works here. If you give 1 space or 2 space or 3 space or 4 space or 5 space or any number of spaces, you have to be consistent across all the statements which are part of the same block. Okay, and that works. So as per the coding guidelines, as per the standards, the 4 spaces is the good practice to use. So I give 4 spaces for every block going forward. Okay, so this is how the conditional statement looks like. So if is a keyword we use, and then we can also use a little bit more to that. There is something called else. Okay, so inside else block. Okay, and here I would also type print end of else block. Okay, so something like this, right? Here I see that now we are inside if inside else, because the condition is false. So that means if condition is false, I come to else portion, else block. If condition is true, I come to if block. So in any case, always it will only come in one of the block if there is if and else keywords we are using here. Okay, So that's how we use. Let's say I will take another example. Suppose I have you know int input, enter a number. Okay, suppose I take a number, I convert that using a conversion function integer, and now I want to check if this number modulus division is by 5 equal to 0, then print number is number 5, whatever number is divisible by 5. Okay, and I can use format here for num. Okay, so here I will write end of if block. I don't have to write every time, by the way. I'm just making sure that you understand. That's why I was typing this, but yes, we can just say something like this here this time. Okay, so else print number is not divisible by 5. So that's as simple as that, as writing a simple lines of codes to make you understand. Okay, end of program. So look at this. If I put 50 here, obviously it is number is divisible by 5, and this is what we get, right? The moment I run this, and if I write 46, obviously number is not divisible by 5. Okay, so that's how this works, and we understand that we can check whether a number is divisible by some particular number or not. Okay, for that matter we can use many examples. Okay, I will be explaining this with some other examples going forward. If it is equal to 0 and I check if it is divisible by 2, that means number is even or odd. Check. Okay, number is even. Okay, and here number is odd. Okay, so that's how we can say it is an odd number, it is an even number. So such checks we can make using such conditions. So the other keyword we learned is else. Okay, if and else we have learned here. So we can also use, there is one more keyword. Let me introduce you. Suppose I have a equal to 100, b equal to let's say 20, c equal to let's say 125. Okay, or whatever, right? So maybe you take any number, doesn't matter, right? Here suppose if I want to check if a is greater than b, okay, and I can also have another if inside my if block. So if a is greater than c, okay, and in that I can simply print a. Okay, and remember I'm using else here, and I print let's say c, and now I use something called elif. Okay, elif is a keyword which is like a else if if this condition is not true, and then if I want to check another condition, that is if b is equal to c. Okay, in that see here, right? In that case we can use elif keyword and I can print something, and otherwise if none of the above conditions are true, it will come to the last block, right? So we can try and explore such various operations. Here there are 2 points I wanted to make. One is nested if statement. So that means I can have another if statement inside a block of either if or else. Okay, that's one thing. And the second is elif. Elif is another keyword which can be used for another condition if I want to check. Okay, so for example, if age is greater than 18, I do something here. Okay, then otherwise I will check else if age is less than 80. Okay, I'll probably do something else, right? And then else for rest of the things, this particular program is probably invalid age. Okay, maybe we can write something. Okay, spiritual program. Okay, I'm just writing something here, right? So some kind of some kind of other function, that doesn't matter, right? So I'm just trying to make a point here that if you provide an age of, let's say, 56, it comes under let's say this particular condition, and obviously here there is some little challenge here, because we are having this condition is always true, even if this two conditions doesn't make sense, but probably we can have another condition here. We can have use and age is less than, let's say, 13. Okay, here also I can use if age is greater than 30 and less than 80, something like this. Okay, so all these things are possible. And is another operator. I hope you recall we have used and as a logical operation in the slides. Let me open here. Yeah. So and is a condition, right? Condition operator. So we can check this condition whether this and the other condition is true, and an or. These are the two operators we can use. Okay, so this was about if condition and if else. So we can have many number of blocks, many number of conditions to check if you want to, and we can write using elif keyword. Okay, so let's discuss about looping. So looping is very important iterative procedure or process in any programming language, which is used to run some specific code for multiple time, right? So which is used to do some kind of a repetitive task. Okay, so we have so many iterations to perform, and that's where the loops are required in any programming languages. So like in Python, so we have for loop. For is a keyword, and for loop can be used to execute some block of statements over the group of values. So one line, very useful one line, single line here, so which tells us that what is for loop, right? For loop is the the construct, a syntax in Python which can be used to print the set of statements or execute the set of statements over the number of values whatever is there in the group here, right? So I write with the help of a function. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, I will use a function. Okay, for I in range. There is a range function. Okay, I will be explaining about this range function soon. So let's just assume, understand that a range is another built-in function. Okay, we have seen so many built-in functions as of now, and some of the keywords, right? If you recall, let me copy the list of built-in functions which we have used in our last notebook. So let me just carry here for our eyes here to quickly refer. So we have seen len, and the range is another function we have just used. Okay, I will explain this now, right? So keywords we have also used. One is import keyword, if you recall, if, else, elif, isn't it, and or. So we have used this. These are some of the keywords we have discussed. So range is another function which generates the range of numbers starting from 0 and up to 10, but not including 10. So I give 10. If you give 20, it will generate up to 20, but not including 20. Okay, that's the stop number till what we want to generate the numbers in the sequence. Okay, so this returns the object that produces a sequence of integers from the start. Start means it is exclusively, we don't have to specify. By default it does start from 0. Okay, so but there is also a provision we can use to start from a specific number if I am interested in, right? So here if I specify the first argument as a start number, so it starts from 5 up to 10, but not including 10. Okay, so that's how we can use a range function. There is a third variant of range function we can use is with the help of a step size, right? Do you recall if we we have used similar syntax in the slicing? Okay, so in slicing also we used to give 1 or 2 or 3 parameters in the subscript operator, right? So where we start index and the stop index and the step size. So see here also a very similar range function is used to generate the range of sequential numbers, right? And from some particular start point up to the end, but not including the end number, and with some step size. So that's how we are getting numbers printed in this sequence, right from starting 5 up to 10, not including 10, with the with the step size of 2. Okay, so that's how we use to iterate over something. For that matter, let me also explain. Suppose I have a string. Okay, Python is fun, and I see that, you know, if I want to check something, the substring, I can use in operator. In is a belongingness operator. It is a membership operator. If this is a member of yes, then it prints true, right? So this is, I think, a pretty obvious thing. You have to just try once and you will understand. Now, for example, for C in S, if I try to do and I check, C, okay, if I see now, so we can iterate. Remember, yes is a string and string is a iterable object on which I can iterate and pull each value at a time. So since it is a iterable object, we can iterate over using a for loop, correct? Because for loop will continue till the time you have the values into this group. Okay, S is a group of characters, obviously, right? So it will pull one character at a time, it prints and it goes back, again it tries and it prints and it goes back, again it tries, get the next value, print it, and again goes back, next value, and print it, and so on and so forth, right? So that's how this works. Okay, so C value is assigned with each character out of the yes string. Okay, so for loop can be used for any iterable object. It can be a list, a tuple, a dictionary. So those are the objects, some of the objects which we will be learning going forward. But this is a basic stuff around a basic string object, how we can iterate over and get the values out of the iterable. Okay. So that's a simple exercise. Now let me also help you understand a little bit about how we can we can use for loop for solving some of the basic simple problems. Maybe if I give you a statement like find out the number of the odd or even numbers in the sequence of numbers. Let's say for I in a range, let's say 20. Okay, I am interested in only printing the even numbers, right? If I modulus 2 is equal to 0, I print the value. Okay, so that's how I generate only the even numbers. So similarly we can do only for the odd numbers. So do you remember we have used math function, math objects, some other functions like sqrt. Okay, so we can also use math dot factorial. I think there is a factorial function. Yeah, we find it, right? So this is how factorial works. Now if I ask you to implement the factorial function by your own, right? So for example, now we learned how to get the factorial, and just imagine that I want to take a number from the input input from the user, input, enter a number, and the moment I get a number, I want to find out the factorial. Okay, so now this is the exercise I want you guys to perform. Okay, so maybe I'll help you. Factorial, find out the factorial. Okay, find the factorial of a number. Okay, so once you find the number, now we want to go over till the time there is a value in the number, right? So there are multiple ways which we can perform. So I want you to think about this and solve by yourself. And if there is a question, please raise the questions, put all the questions together. We can discuss all the questions later on. Okay, so this is a quite simple exercise. I keep it for you, and let's move on and try and learn something more. There's another type of loops which we will be discussing called while loop. Okay, hope this is clear. This is a quite basic things around a loop, and those loops we can just run using a for keyword. So while is very similar. Okay, there is another loop, as I said, while loop. So we can use while loop for similar purpose, except whenever you don't know how many times you want to run an iteration or a repetitive task we want to do, so we go for while loop. Okay, so while will execute this group of statements in the block as long as the condition is true. So syntax is exactly same as if statements, right? So do you remember, if n is greater than 5, okay, print, let's say 5. Okay, so let's say, let me take n equal to 10. Okay, this just does once, right? And now if I replace this particular code with 5 with while, so we have to be cautious because this is a repetitive thing which is going to execute, right? For example, if I say n equal to greater than 5, the condition is true, it will print this, again it checks the condition, it prints it, again it checks the condition. So this will keep on doing for infinite number of times. So unless if I want to do something, change or control, so I can change the value of n in every iteration. I want to change it and decrement it, right? So that's how I will make sure that the loop will be getting executed only for some limited number of times, but as long as this value is true. The moment this value becomes false, your loop will be terminated. That means your loop will be completed, right? So your loop will be done its execution, right? It won't continue further. So that's the while loop. So while loop is no different than for loop. The principally the behavior is exactly same, just that if you are not sure about how many times this is going to run, or for that matter if you want to run something for infinite number of times, okay, obviously don't try this, but yes, so this is now going to run for infinite number of times, right? It will keep on printing 5 infinite number of times. I suggest don't try this out here, because your system will continuously do this task for infinite number of times and it may hang. Okay, obviously you can anytime terminate the program. Okay, that's not a big deal, but just I'm telling for your understanding that this will be doing infinite number of times the operation. Okay, so that is the only difference. Principally it is same like for loop, and this works for iterative task for indefinite number of times if you want to perform something. Okay, so there is another exercise I want to give, and these exercises we will be discussing about these exercises in the next video. For now I want you guys to try and solve this couple of examples here. One is factorial. Okay, I hope you understand the statement already written above. Second is, suppose you have a string, let's say you have A2, B3, then say C5 or maybe D1. Okay, this is the input. Okay, so let me just do this one, and here I will type as 2, second question, and yeah, suppose this is the input string. Okay, I will write it as input string, hard coded, no need to take from the user, you can hard code that. And now I am looking for the output string, output string as A, then B, C, C, and D. So remember, every character is is printed, and then there is a number, right? So that every number is printed after character, so that number indicates that how many number of times the character needs to be there in the input, in the output. Okay, so that's what the expectation is. So you have to write a program to iterate over the string and find out the numbers, and based on the number, those many times this particular character should be printed. Okay, simple one. Basics are important. You learned the basics, you learned some of the functions, you learned how to iterate over the iterable object, how to add, how to find out the length, how to convert into using integers, int and the flow of int and string. So whatever is possible, you just think about the solution for this particular problem. Okay, so we will discuss in the next session about the solution for these exercises, and then we will continue for the next topic. Thank you for watching.